There is a lot of information and a lot of misinformation going around right now concerning Arknights Endfield's gacha system. A lot of people are very, very confused, and from what I've seen, it seems to be a convoluted mess. I played the beta test, and honestly, I didn't think the gacha was really that bad. Not nearly as bad as people are saying anyway, and in some instances, I actually think it's better than a lot of the major gacha games out there right now. I want to take a moment here to walk you through everything in an attempt to try and explain it all to you so you're properly informed. Now, this was based off of what I experienced in the beta, this is based off of what I've seen in live streams, and this is also based off of what I've seen around the community. If I get anything wrong or I miss something important, then I urge you to go down in the comment section below, leave a comment, so I can then either adjust in a future video or pin a comment clarifying anything further that needs clarification. As someone that is a huge Arknights fan and that really wants Arknights Endfield and a lot of other gacha games really to succeed, I'm going to do my utmost to explain this in as simple a format as possible, because based off of what I experienced and based off of what I saw on the live stream, it really is quite simple. Now I'm gonna really channel my artistic prowess here. I booted up Paint so I can attempt to not only walk you through it verbally, but also document it in a physical form to make it easier for you to comprehend. One pull costs exactly 500 premium currency, with a 10 pulls cost being 5,000. The rate of currency acquisition is much higher than other mainstream gacha games, so that may be enough to make up the difference in price. 6-star characters have a 0.8% chance of appearing. As an example, if we're using other games as a reference point here, Genshin's 5 stars are 0.6%, while Wuthering Waves are also 0.8%. This means you're more likely to get a max rarity character in Arknights Endfield and in Wuthering Waves than you are in Genshin Impact. It does feature a 50-50 system, just like in Genshin Impact, just like in Wuthering Waves, with a guaranteed 6-star character at 80 pulls. However, where it differs here is that in Arknights Endfield, it guarantees you the limited banner character at 120 pulls total, rather than in Wuthering Waves at 160 or in Genshin Impact at 180. But we'll elaborate a little bit more on that in just a little bit. You get a guaranteed 5-star every single 10 pull. After 65 total rolls, every subsequent roll increases by 5% up until you win your 6-star. This is something that happens in every single gacha game, or at the very least in the majority of gacha games, mainstream gacha games especially. Now let's go ahead here and discuss the guarantee and the pity, since I think that's the main topic of contention online right now and what people don't fully grasp or understand. So what we've established thus far is that pity happens at 80 pulls. The guarantee happens at 120 pulls. The guarantee for the limited banner character. At the beginning of the game's launch, that's going to be Levitain. Every 80 pulls, you are guaranteed a 6-star character, but that guarantee at pity is never the limited banner character. It is always 50-50. However, you are guaranteed the limited banner character upon hitting 120, meaning that if you fail your 50-50 at 80, you just push through until 120, and at 120 you are guaranteed the limited banner character, in this instance Levitain. There is no need to continue through until the second pity at 160 like in Wuthering Waves, or till 180 like in Genshin Impact. The maximum will only ever be 120, never higher than that. I think personally that this is much more free-to-play friendly for players. The devs have introduced multiple different methods here to help make pulling for characters easier, including at 30 pulls, you do get a free 10 pull for the current banner. This is referred to as urgent recruitment. It doesn't affect your guarantee, but it does give you another shot at actually obtaining a 6-star. At 60 pulls, you get another free 10 pull for the next limited banner. I didn't read anything on stream about it affecting the guarantee or the pity, so it's safe to assume here that it counts as a normal 10 pull. If it doesn't, again, and I'm wrong, please let me know and I'd be more than happy to correct myself. But based off of what I've read online, it seems to me that a lot of people seem to echo that same sentiment. Now, in summary, you are going to pull 80 times to attempt the limited banner character, just like you would in Wuthering Waves, just like you would in Genshin Impact, although in Genshin Impact you'd pull 90 times to hit that first 50-50. If you win your 50-50, you get the limited banner character, which is fantastic. You can save the rest of your pulls at that juncture. However, if you fail your 50-50, like a lot of people I know do, like I do in every single gacha game, unfortunately for me, then you're going to want to go ahead here and invest 40 more pulls until you hit that guarantee. You won't need to hit 160 total like in Wuthering Waves to hit the guarantee. You won't have to dedicate 180 pulls like you would have to in Genshin Impact. So this is ultimately a lot cheaper overall. But if that wasn't clear enough and you need me to state exactly what you need to do, then after obtaining the character at 80 pulls, save any additional pulls. If you don't obtain it at 80 pulls and you lose your 50-50, go till 120 and then save your pulls. Do not pull unless you have 120 pulls saved. I know you might want to test your luck and try the 50-50, but don't. Seriously, just don't. This isn't less free-to-play friendly because the guarantee here is so much lower than the vast majority of other gacha games. Now your pity, and this is where a lot of misinformation online comes from, is directly tied to the 50-50, and this does in fact carry over, meaning that if you roll 79 times and you have not obtained a guaranteed 6-star yet, during the next banner, you will still have 79 out of 80, guaranteeing a 50-50 on the next limited banner character within one pull. There's no need to build all the way up until 80 again. However, the guarantee at 120 does not carry over. If you pull 119 times and you do not receive the limited guaranteed character, this does reset back to 0. Now, this is something that I've been vehemently against, and I've always stated that I do not like, but at the same time, there is a difference between getting the guarantee to 119 and that not carrying over, and then people saying that the pity at 79 through 80 also does not carry over. That is a blatant lie. As far as I'm aware, the pity does in fact carry over. How you deal with this is very simple. Only pull when you have 120 pulls saved up. Once again, this should not be a difficult thing to do with a little bit of impulse control here. If you win the 50-50 on the way to the guarantee, just save the rest. If you fail, you've got a safety net earlier than in any other major gacha game out there. As an additive, every 120 pulls, you're guaranteed a copy of the limited banner character. This means at 240, 360, 480, meaning that whales can definitely continue to acquire dupes without issue, and if you have excess pulls available, you can dump them into acquiring a character at guaranteed points. Future banner characters can also be obtained in the current limited banner if you happen to fail the 50-50. In this instance, if you pull for Levitain and fail to obtain her, you might get Yvonne from 2 banners down in the future. This was confirmed on stream. Characters are also going to remain for a total of 3 banners, meaning that you have 3 entire cycles to acquire whomever you want. There is also a newbie banner with pulls being obtained through the story, but that is the character banner. I'm going to go ahead here and let you ultimately decide whether these rates are good or not. A guarantee at 120, 240, 360, etc. with 50-50s also at every 80 pulls is honestly pretty solid bang for your buck, especially when you factor in other gacha games like Nikkei or Blue Archive that have sparks all the way at 200. But this isn't everything. We're going to go ahead here now and transition over into the arsenal system, which is your weapons. I'm going to go ahead here and save this because this is just too beautiful for me not to save. Yo, I don't mean to interrupt the video, but I need to take a moment here to thank all my incredible patrons over on Patreon whose support continues to allow for me to do regular videos like this every single day on this channel. Thank y'all so much, including our YouTube channel members. You guys mean the world to me. So do you guys as viewers as well. Now, without further ado, let's continue. A 10 pull on the weapon banner costs 1,920 arsenal tickets. Although I've also seen across social media and across websites as well mention of 1,980, 2,580, 2,980. So I'm unsure really which is the most accurate at this juncture. And I don't know if the rates were changed from the beta test. I don't recall them being announced in the live stream. Now, this is a little bit more straightforward here. I think after 40 pulls, you are guaranteed a 6-star weapon. This weapon has a 25% chance or a 1 in 4 chance of being the limited banner weapon. Now, this by itself isn't good. What's good is what comes next. 80 pulls, you are guaranteed the limited banner weapon. There is absolutely no 50-50 nonsense involved. Not like Genshin Impact. In Wuthering Waves, people actually praise the lack of a 50-50 for the weapon banner and love the free-to-play friendliness of the guaranteed weapon at 80 pulls. But you know what? In Arknights Endfield, you're guaranteed the limited banner weapon at the exact same cutoff point, which means that they are equally as free-to-play friendly as Wuthering Waves. However, unlike in Wuthering Waves, in Arknights Endfield, you also have a 25% chance to obtain the weapon at 40 pulls. And if you fail, you get another 6-star weapon instead. Meaning on the way to Wuthering Waves' guaranteed weapon, you're essentially given a free 6-star or a potential limited banner weapon doubling the reward for your investment. After a cumulative total of 100 pulls, you're given yet another guaranteed 6-star weapon selector, allowing you to choose any non-limited banner weapon of your choice. So, for 80 pulls less than in Genshin Impact, you get a guaranteed banner weapon, a random, potentially limited banner weapon at 40, a definitive selector, all for a maximum of 100 pulls. The Arsenal tickets themselves can also be earned through weekly activities. They can be purchased through the credit store, the protocol pass, certain packs, and through character pulls. I decided to type this one out because I feel like it's just faster to do, but every 4-star character provides you with 20 total Arsenal tickets. Every 5-star character provides you with 200 total Arsenal tickets. Every 6-star character provides you with 2,000 Arsenal tickets. Although at the very least, that's what I found online. I've also seen slightly varied, with some mentioning like 24 or 2,500 Arsenal tickets for 6 stars, and others mentioning less than 2,000, like 1,900 for Arsenal tickets. But let's just use this as a baseline here. So, depending on how lucky or unlucky you ultimately are, you could potentially earn every limited banner weapon without ever having to spend a single cent. Otherwise, you might end up having to waste a little bit of the premium currency on it, but for the most part, you're going to have very little difficulty pulling for weapons. This is effectively an incredibly free-to-play friendly weapon system, and I'm kind of shocked that anyone really has any issue with this whatsoever, since it's inherently better than every other major gacha game. You cannot praise Wuthering Wave's weapon banner system, but also criticize this weapon banner system, because this is at the very worst the same, and at the very best significantly better. So this is very simple. Do not pull for new characters unless you have 120 guaranteed pulls. You're going to get a ton through playing the game. We saw that during the beta test. We also saw the enhanced number of premium currency we're going to get from the crates out in the world, the daily and weekly rewards, the earnable currency in-game, through events, through the actual game modes. This isn't to say they won't get less generous over time, but at the very least, where we are in this current state of development, there are going to be a ton of free pulls. There are going to be a ton of ways to earn premium currency. There are going to be a ton of ways to obtain the 120 guarantee you need. You just need a little bit of impulse control to not spend unnecessarily unless you have that 120 cushion there. You're going to be able to get tons of free limited banner characters as long as you wait for the 120. Or if you want to risk your luck at the 50-50, go right ahead, because you do have a chance of obtaining it. The pity does carry over, but the guarantee does not. The more you pull, the more weapon pulls you get, and then ultimately the more overall weapons you obtain as well. The more you pull, the more free pulls you get after hitting 30 and 60 in succession. Again, I'm going to let you be the ultimate judge here on whether or not this is good or bad, but from my perspective, this doesn't really seem bad at all. As long as you're taking a moment here to plan out how you're going to obtain the characters, this is actually pretty damn good. But if you do a 10 pull every time you get premium currency, enough premium currency to do a 10 pull, then yeah, it's probably going to suck for you. But that's not the kind of player I am, and if that's the kind of player that is deterred from playing this game, then it's just not for them, really. That's all. I'm glad that Arknights Endfield here is doing something different. We don't need the same game, the same style of game, the same gacha systems all the time. We need different games with different forms of monetization. Whether or not this succeeds or fails, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to enjoy my time in it either way, and I'm sure plenty of other people will too. But hopefully that helps you out a little bit, that helps you understand some of the gacha system. Hopefully it was simplified enough to make sense and is no longer a convoluted mess for you. I know you think that you just hit the end of the video, and technically, yeah, you have. And I know your first reaction is to close out of it at this juncture, but don't. No, instead, I urge you to take a moment here and click one of the videos on screen that are coming up in just a moment, so you remain up to date with everything going on in the gacha genre. Trust me, you're not going to regret doing so. Stay flaccid.